Welcome to Module 5, Bilingualism and Bilingual Education. This week we'll acquire a framework for understanding the U.S. history of bilingual education, and we'll debunk the myth that the U.S. is a monolingual English-speaking country. Baker gives us an interesting way to view the cyclical and historic ways bilingualism has been tolerated, even nurtured and encouraged in the United States, but also repeatedly disparaged and even legally suppressed. We will read about how German-English bilingual schools were widespread in early American colonial history, but that founding fathers such as Benjamin Franklin took extreme anti-German stances, even racializing German speakers as quote-unquote swarthy. Franklin's anti-immigrant and anti-bilingual stance become clear in this rhetorical question that he asked with overtones of racism connected to linguicism. Why should Pennsylvania, founded by the English, become a colony of aliens who will shortly be so numerous as to Germanize us instead of our anglifying them, and will never adopt our language or customs any more than they can acquire our complexion? Don't Franklin's comments sound familiar today? Landmark court cases such as the Meyer versus Nebraska case in 1923, where anti-German policies were found unconstitutional, are connected to the 1968 Bilingual Education Act, a federal funding authorization that encouraged school districts to experiment with bilingual approaches. This act was followed by the landmark Law versus Nichols Supreme Court case in 1974, which determined that Chinese immigrant students in San Francisco were indeed denied equal educational opportunity when only instructed in English, a language they couldn't understand. And from this outcome of this case, funding for bilingual programs that separated children temporarily from all English curriculum with peers was approved as a civil right. What are the repercussions of separate education based on language? Questions about separation and integration are still being asked today as dual language schools emerge as a vibrant solution. My first job after college was as a bilingual 3rd and 4th grade school teacher in Los Angeles in 1992, and I remember having ambivalent feelings then about the separation of my bilingual students from the rest of the school. I recall my first observation of a dual language school in 1995, where all the students in Santa Monica, California, were learning both Spanish and English together, and I wished this were feasible where I was teaching. Frustrated by the limitations of bilingual education models I worked in, I left California in 1997 to attend graduate school, just as Ron Unz was proposing Proposition 227, and it was passed as an attempt to ban bilingual education in California. Shortly afterwards, the Bush administration in 2001 eliminated the word bilingual from all federal language and replaced it with the, quote, Office of English Language Acquisition, or OELA. Connections between language, politics, and perceptions of national security interests are long-standing in the United States, from the prohibiting of Native American children from being taught in their own languages in 1864, overturning anti-German policies in 1923, requiring bilingual services in 1974, to current regional policies like those active in Georgia today, which incentivize dual language education. I often turn to poetry to help give me the language to articulate the ironies and complexities of bilingual education practice and power. Be sure to read Harriet Mullen's short and powerful poem after Proposition 227 was passed in California in 1998. Notice how she uses Spanish and English in this poem. How does the use of two languages index their symbolic value in the U.S. linguistic marketplace? What does this code switching reveal about societal attitudes toward bilingualism in the U.S., and how does this compare to societal values in other countries? I'll let you read this poem on your own. I look forward to your discussions this week online. Thanks for tuning in.